Imagine my surprise as I'm editing a video about how Assassin's Creed Shadows underperformed, and I see tweets like this. Turns out Ubisoft has decided to just kinda give up, and they're basically giving all of their IPs to a new subsidiary company that is heavily invested in by Tencent. Now, if you don't know who Tencent is, they're the Chinese games company that seems to own literally everything now, but I do think that though I personally have reservations about allowing Chinese companies to have such a large market share in order to exert soft power on the West, I do think this will be good for Ubisoft. So today, let's talk about this. I saw this tweet earlier. Ubisoft has officially sold its video game franchise and formed a new subsidiary, giving Tencent 25% ownership and royalties. Ubisoft did so well with Assassin's Creed Shadows, they were still forced to sell. Now, obviously that's tongue-in-cheek. Assassin's Creed Shadows did not do very good at all. This new subsidiary is worth more than Ubisoft itself, with the massive investment from Tencent. The new subsidiary will own all intellectual properties of the video game IPs Ubisoft formerly owned. Great work, at least you can ratio people on X, and that's referencing them ratioing Elon Musk the other day. So it turns out that Ubisoft, as it exists now, is going to be completely restructured. All the IPs, all the video game series that they have, they're going to a new subsidiary company that's heavily influenced by Tencent. And what does that mean exactly? Well, for the end user, probably not that much, right? Except maybe Tencent actually has a pretty good track record of improving certain games when they take over. Now, of course, they also have a reputation for ruining games when they take over, but the way I see it is if they have something that's good, Tencent tends to be able to make it better, whereas if something's bad, Tencent tends to make it incredibly bad. I don't know where Ubisoft's IP stands in that, but sometimes Tencent coming in has worked out for other companies. Now, that being said, of course, Tencent is a Chinese company, and with that, you have the influence of the Chinese Communist Party, which is not good, but I mean, I guess that's where the video game market is at now, right? Ubisoft continually had problems with the games that they were launching over the past year or two, and it just ended up with them having to sell out. Maybe Western developers just aren't able to make games anymore. So let's take a look at what's actually happening. From investing.com. Investing.com says that this new entity will include popular game franchises such as Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Chinese multinational conglomerate Tencent Holdings is set to invest 1.16 billion euros for a 25% stake in the newly formed subsidiary. In exchange for a royalty, the new entity will hold licenses for intellectual property of the games. The Ubisoft CEO said, "Today Ubisoft is opening a new chapter in its history. This is a foundational step in changing Ubisoft's operating model that will enable us to be both agile and ambitious." Now, I know a thing or two about dissecting corporate speech, and by saying ambitious, that means they got a whole bunch more money, and when they say agile, that usually means that some people are probably going to lose their jobs. That's a big word that I see whenever there's layoffs. Now, I can't say that for sure is going to happen, but I do see the word agile tossed around a lot whenever there's layoffs happening. So if we want to go more into what the Ubisoft CEO said, we can take a look here from Insider Gaming. They actually put out the entire statement that the Ubisoft CEO, whose name I'm gonna butcher, Yves Guillemot, had sent to the internal teams. He said, "Hello everyone, I'm pleased to share an important announcement that will mark a milestone in Ubisoft's history. Following a process to review different strategic options for Ubisoft's future, we have just signed an exceptional agreement with one of our trusted shareholders, Tencent, with whom we have a solid relationship. Their 1.16 billion euro investment will benefit all of Ubisoft. We will be able to firmly take back control of our future and renew with the serenity needed to create the best games. The terms of this partnership are straightforward. We will establish a dedicated subsidiary within Ubisoft that will bring together our three most powerful franchises, Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, and Far Cry. This subsidiary will garner the teams working on these brands, primarily in the studios of Montreal, Quebec City, Sherbrooke, Saguenay, Barcelona, and Sofia. Tencent will be a 25% shareholder in this new subsidiary with the aim of boosting these franchises so they become undisputed global icons. This historic agreement is above all a recognition of the extraordinary work you have been doing for years. The value of these three brands directly reflects your individual and collective talent and efforts, which have allowed us to create these beloved franchises. This investment will also give us the means to accelerate the changes we've been discussing for several months across the group, changes that many of you have been longing for, as revealed by the Ubisoft XP survey. These changes are in line with the initiatives that Marie-Sophie has been sharing recently, which aim to put the creation of unique games and player satisfaction back at the heart of our daily work. This is what will enable us to return to a higher level of profitability. This announcement comes at a pivotal time after the very positive reception of Assassin's Creed Shadows, yeah right, and the excitement sparked by the announcement of Rainbow Six Siege X, of which we can be very proud. I want to express my deepest gratitude for your resilience, tenacity, courage, and creativity, all the qualities that make Ubisoft a truly unique company that helped us overcome a challenging period over the last few years. The coming months will be dedicated to shaping our next chapter, another phrase that you see used used before layoffs a lot. Of course, this new step in our transformation will raise many questions, including on an individual level. We are committed to keeping you regularly informed, answering your questions, and providing visibility on the next steps. I hope you can join the global live stream, blah 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 blah. See you tomorrow, and thank you again, Yviz. So as you can tell, Ubisoft has decided to go in a different direction. It sounds to me like there's going to be big changes coming, because of course when they say their transformation, when they talk about shaping their next chapter, when they talk about keeping you informed and having questions on an individual level, all of those are signs, at least in my experience, that a company is getting ready to lay people off. Of course, Ubisoft may not lay anybody off. They may just transfer everybody to the new subsidiary, but I would be very shocked if that was the case. Because the fact of the matter is, well, he talks up how great they were doing and how positive the reception of Assassin's Creed Shadows was and how great the announcement of Rainbow Six Siege X was. At the same time, he lays out that they've had a challenging past couple of years. He says that you helped us overcome a challenging period over the last few years. Now, of course, that challenging period has coincided with some major releases that didn't seem to do as well as Ubisoft would have hoped. Now, that being said, I will not say that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the reason this happened, right? Because Assassin's Creed Shadows launched like a week ago. This kind of thing would have taken months and months, if not years, of negotiation between Ubisoft and Tencent. That doesn't mean that the performance of Assassin's Creed Shadows didn't have anything to do with the deal. It could have moved up the timeline, it could have lowered the investment price, I don't know. That's all backroom deals that we'll never know about. But it's unlikely that it had a major impact in this, because this kind of thing is just such a big undertaking. They would have had to be talking about this for so long. I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadows played that big a role. Grums, a leading voice in the anti-woke gaming community, put out a tweet where he analyzed a second statement put out by Marie-Sophie de Weber, the chief studios and portfolio officer at Ubisoft. He basically boiled down the entire statement to a bunch of gobbledygook corporate speak, where he said, basically, we at the top avoided the fall and got rich, which, yeah, that checks out. You employees still kinda matter, sorta. And then we will work hard to build the best organization possible. He says means reorganization inbound, and I 100% think that he's right there. Of course, this brings some uncertainty and questions. Right now, we may not have all the detailed answers. And as he says here, that kind of language means they're not putting layoffs off the table. Because if they were, they would just say that. But when they say, we don't have the answers, that could mean that they just haven't decided who to fire yet. So I don't know. Overall, I do think that this is probably a good thing for Ubisoft, right? I don't think it's great for gamers, although it could be, you know, because Tencent does make good games. I don't like the fact that a lot of the Western studios are kind of failing, and a lot of the video game development for top games is being pushed into China. As an American, that worries me, because I don't really like communism, and I don't like countries that are hostile to my country having a major role in the culture. But it seems like China has been expanding its reach into video games as a sort of soft power mechanism, so that they could potentially push pro-Chinese sentiment to the masses. Now, of course, we have seen that recently. If you heard of the game Black Myth Wukong, that game is based on a massive Chinese cultural story. It's a huge part of Chinese culture, and by pushing that game out and making that game so good, China as a whole was able to exert some soft power and teach the world a bit about their culture, making them more likely to open up to Chinese culture in the future. Now, I don't know if it's always, you know, directly coordinated by the CCP. I don't know if the Chinese government was directly involved in Black Myth Wukong, but I do know that the way China's structured, the way that every business has to have people that are involved with the Communist Party, it's very sketchy, and I don't think that it's a good idea to have that involved in every video game company in the world. But it seems like we're trending that way anyway. So what does it matter what I think? What do you guys think? Are you worried about the increasing influence of China on our video games? Or are you just happy that Ubisoft will be beholden to somebody who knows how to make at least halfway decent games in the future? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and God bless you.